I want to share with you a 5-step, 2-minute high performance tool that I've added to my day, which I am finding is helping me bring out the best of myself in ways that maybe I didn't even think were possible. It's a pretty powerful tool, so I want to share it with you right now. So I'm a big believer in high performance comes from processes and tools that you consistently do over a period of time. And in my life, I've got a certain types of processes that I have. I have my weekly meeting, my morning meeting, my Bevan book that I read. I've got all these little tools which I kind of apply every day of my life. And I'm a big believer that if I inject these things in my life, the flow-on effect for the rest of my day is huge. And so by injecting these in, I'm kind of guaranteeing a higher level day in front of me from that moment forward. And as a part of this, I'm always trying to evolve this process. So I've kind of added tools over the years, and there's been some tools that haven't been effective. But what I'm looking to do is not just do the process, I'm trying to get better at my processes that help me be a higher level self. And recently I added a tool which it's been really quite powerful, and it's been powerful for two reasons. A, it helps me see moments in my day where I want to bring more out of myself, and B, it gives me a real sense of alignment. And so I wanted to share this tool with you because it's really simple. It takes bugger all time, but the payoff has massive dividends in your day. And if you can consistently do this, like me, you can be a higher level self more often in your life. So let's break it down. There's kind of 5 steps, but I want to talk a little about step number 1 first. Step number 1 is this concept of what are my base assumptions about myself? And I want you to think about this about yourself right now. So what are your base assumptions about yourself? Now, in doing this process, what we're looking for is positive or aspirational but still within reach base assumptions. And you may be wondering, what is a base assumption, Bevan? Well, base assumption is what's an assumption I have about myself that is kind of fundamental to how I see myself. I'll say that again. A base assumption is an assumption I have about myself which is fundamental about how I see myself. Now, obviously, there's some base assumptions in our life that work against us, but in this process, what we're trying to do is we're trying to look for the base assumptions that are really positive for us, or aspirational ones that we are working towards as a person, which are within reach. So they shouldn't be too far out of reach that you don't actually believe they're possible. And I thought I'd actually share, I've got them here on my little laptop here, I thought I'd share some of the base assumptions that I wrote down when I came up with this here. So I've done it in 4 different areas. I've done it in personal, relationship, and business and career. So that's kind of one. And so a base assumption I have about myself is I have a big impact on people. When I think of myself, I think I have a big impact on people. Another base assumption I have about myself is I am loved and I know how to love. Well, that's a pretty cool base assumption, isn't it? Another one is my value comes from my impact on others. Another base assumption I have about myself is I love evolving and seeking the higher level. So that's kind of personal. In my relationship with my wife, I've got here, I'm her number 1 fan. Another one I've got here, we can build a life together that we love. So as you can see, these are kind of assumptions that I have about myself. Another one with my friends is I add value to my friends' lives. In my career, I've got one here, challenging people to grow is a good thing. So that's the way as I look at my career. So as you can see, those kind of statements are statements that I have about myself and are ways I want to see myself in my life. So step number 1 in the process, and as much as I said this is a 5-step, 2-minute process, this will take a little bit more because this is kind of like setting up the process. But your first step in this process is to actually spend some time identifying those base assumptions you have about yourself that are really positive or that you're trying to move towards in your life. So that's the first step. The second step is to set up a routine where you're going to go over your base assumptions every day. And again, this literally takes 2 minutes. It doesn't have to take a huge amount of time. So the second step is to then think about when would I fit this moment in my day. Now, I'm a big believer in if you're trying to set up the future of your day, you want to put this in the morning. So for me, what I tend to do is I get up, I have breakfast, I come into my office here, and then I do my kind of self-work for the day, and this base assumption process happens within my self-work. Now, my self-work for a day takes me 10 minutes. And if you can't find 10 minutes in your day, if you can't find 2 minutes in your day, I think you really need to question what are you doing with your life if you can't find 2 minutes for yourself. So the first thing is prioritize it, plan it in, and make sure that becomes a habit that you put in every day of your life. Step number 3, and this is where the 2-minute kind of process starts to happen. So once you've found your base assumptions, and you've put the time in place and the routine in place that you're going to spend that 2 minutes each day, then with step number 3 is to find a song that you currently feel emotionally connected to. Because what we're trying to do here is we're trying to get you into an emotional state while you're going through the next couple of steps in the process. So what I'll do, I love new music. I'm always trying to find cool new songs. And so whatever, I'll kind of have a current song that's really triggering emotion within me. Now, you might be like me, or you might just have the bangers from the past that you absolutely love. But we want to get to this emotional state. And music's a really easy way to fast forward to an emotional state. So basically, I'll jump on Spotify, I'll find a song I really love, I put it on, and then what I do is I get my base assumption page. I'm not sure if you can see this here, but you can see here on my little computer here, I've got these all written out in a couple of little spreadsheets here. So then what I do is I open that page and I read through all of them first. So I've got about 20 base assumptions written down there. And then what I do is each day I identify, so I might spend like 30 seconds just reading through all of them. And then each day I just identify one base assumption that I'm going to focus on. So this is the next step, is you get your base assumption out, you put your music on. Step number 4 is to identify one base assumption that you're going to focus on. And then step number 5, and this is really interesting, all you're going to do is for the next minute and a half, 2 minutes, whatever, you're just going to literally look at that, read it over and over and over in your head again. It's kind of like you're doing an affirmation, but you're just reading it over and over. And if your head starts to go elsewhere, you come back to the affirmation. Now, what I'm finding when I'm doing this process is my head is looking for evidence from my past of this base assumption. So I might, let's say, like the one I said before, I have a big impact on people's lives. So when I'm reading that base assumption, my head will find evidence from the past where I have a big impact on other people's lives. So it's spend time reinforcing this base assumption is really true, because look at what's happened in the past. And because I'm in an emotional state with the music, I'm finding it heightens the experience. And then from there, I get kind of more benefits. So I get other benefits of the good feelings of the impact I have on other people's lives, and so on. And then the last step, and I'm not quite sure if this is 4 or 5, is then to look to the day ahead and think about where I can have an impact on people's days today, or where I can apply that base assumption in the next moment of time in my life, as in the next 24 hours of my life. Now, this process is a process which I'm finding is so powerful. And there's a few reasons. A, it's a really good way to start your day. B, it's putting your focus in the areas that you're trying to develop yourself or you're trying to reinforce. C, what it's actually doing is it's reinforcing those character traits or those base assumptions. So you're almost cementing them and taking ownership of them in a really powerful way. And then D, you're actually seeing opportunities where you can go to the next level of that within the next moment of your life. Now, as I said at the beginning of this video, this is a really powerful tool. And I'm finding it's just having so many positive benefits in many areas of my daily application. So to recap, what are the 5 steps? First of all, spend some time identifying your base assumptions based on positive base assumptions that you currently see about yourself, or aspirational ones that are within your reach. Step number 2 is to identify a time where you're going to set up a routine. Each day we're going to spend this 2 or 3 minutes doing this tool. Step number 3 is find emotional music that really triggers that emotion within you before you do this. So once you actually sit down in the morning, you find that song, you put it on. Step number 4 is to read through all the affirmations. And then step number 5 is to find the one that you're going to focus on today, and literally just go zone in and focus on that, reading that over and over again, and go through the internal experience. And then at the end of it, look to see where there's opportunity for you to apply that base assumption today. I'm finding it's a pretty powerful tool, and I would love to hear what you think about this as well. So your job, your challenge, I've got a challenge for you. For the next 7 days, do this process. If it's a waste of time at the end of it, fair enough. But I can pretty much guarantee it won't be. You'll actually find it's a tool that can help you set in your higher level often, your high level self more often in your life. So take on the challenge, 7 days, 2 minutes. Come on, it's literally 14 minutes of your time. It's well invested time.